This video debunks a common myth about the Mazatlan Malecon, its distance. Along the way you'll discover many unique things to eat and drink, some rather notorious sights, occasional cultural performances, an underground attraction leading to a beachfront cabana, and death-defying stunts, all of which make for quintessential Mazatlan experiences. Fear not, this video won't cover every step in the Malecon, just the sights worth seeing. Don't forget to look out for the two notorious sites, one of which is made noteworthy for a very recent incident. The Malecon is 4.3 miles from this point right here. This is Valentino's behind us, all the way to Playa Olas Altas. A lot of sources online say that there's some kind of mysterious 21-kilometer boardwalk, which isn't true. I think some sort of 21-kilometer boardwalk would stand out, but the star of the show here is this 4.3-mile Malecon, and we're going to take you on a tour.
Yeah, there's plenty of sights to see along the way.
Stick around.
Yep. This is the very start of the Malecon in Mazatlan. That white structure is Valentino's. It is built on a natural rock formation. There are caves within that rock formation, and within those caves there are petroglyphs. So when they built Valentino's, they sealed off the caves and they put the structure right on top of the natural rock formation.
Alright, our next site is the famous colorful Mazatlan letters. This is a pretty popular photo op. Mazatlan does have a professional baseball team. They're the Mazatlan Venados. That means the deers, Mazatlan deers. And we're just always fascinated by this statue right here.
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about baseball, but do you really hold a baseball like that?
Is that a baseball? I don't know what that is. All right, Mazatlan Venados statue. If you're like most people, you've likely wondered from time to time, what's the southernmost breeding range of the California sea lion? Well, it's right off the coast of Mazatlan. And this monument also marks the spot on the Malecon where you walk down the street to get to the aquarium, which you can't see behind this building. There you go. If you're ever walking along the Malecon and you need to get to the aquarium, you know where to find it. Stick around for some better sights, I promise. So we're going to tell you about this building right here. This is the Miramar, and this is the scene of some recent infamous history. February 22nd, 2014 at about 6:30 in the morning. This is where the second arrest of Joaquin Guzman, better known as El Chapo, the former leader of the Sinaloa cartel, was arrested here, right up on the 4th floor as a matter of fact. Apparently the whole thing went down without any real incident. I think he was within custody within, I think like maybe a minute. There was a brief scuffle between him, I think it was the Mexican Navy, and a couple agencies from the United States, but apparently he was pretty modest with his money because he was only on the 4th floor. I mean, I think he could have been up a lot higher. And
yeah, but it's not like he can really do that much with it. It's like, you know, poor El Chapo, he's sitting up there, he's got all that money, and he can't even pop across the road to the beach.
No, he can't take a stroll down the Malecon in style and
have a beer on the beach, have a packet of Toasty Locos. He's just kind of stuck up there and just looking across the road at everything he's missing out on.
So?
Because he's one of the most wanted men, so all that money, and it just wasn't really, well, I'm sure it was useful to him, but you know, but he can't go to the beach.
He can't. It's madness. I mean, it all happened right here, right along the Malecon, February 22nd, 2014. In room 403, by the way, that's what I've read. So, there you go.
The Miramar.
The Miramar. This is the Pulmonia Monument here. Anyone who's not familiar with Mazatlan doesn't know about this very unique form of transportation. And yeah, it's kind of like a golf cart, some sort of Volkswagen thing as well. These are pretty much used by everybody in Mazatlan, not just tourists. Locals use these to get around, and probably not going to be long until an actual pulmonia passes us, and I'll show you exactly. Here comes one right now, as a matter of fact. There's a pulmonia right there. Like I said, these are a really affordable way of getting around too. If you're ever thinking of flagging one down and maybe not walking the Malecon, but instead getting a personalized tour of Mazatlan, you could just flag any one of these down for about 350 pesos an hour. It's about 17 US dollars. You could ride around on one of these things for real and get a tour. And behind right here is the monument to El Creston. Mazatlan's famous pharaoh or lighthouse is on top of a landmass called El Creston, which used to be an island, and it's connected to the mainland now by a jetty. So you have two very iconic things here. You've got the Pulmonia monument, and you've got a monument to El Creston and its famous inhabitant, the El Pharaoh, or the lighthouse of Mazatlan right up there. And this is Hotel de Cima, and the attraction here is actually an underground attraction. It's something definitely a lot of people don't know about. I think when they're walking along the Malecon, they happily walk right over this attraction without even knowing about it. We're going to take you down into the bowels of the Malecon right now. This is your payoff for hanging around for so many monuments. All right, so just right outside the front entrance of the Decima is this tunnel, which goes underneath the Malecon. We're going to go into some really cool mosaics here all throughout this tunnel. But I think the highlight of this, aside from the mosaics right here, is where this tunnel leads out to. So this is free to anybody to use. You don't have to be a guest at the hotel. Of course, we're going underneath the busy road that runs along the Malecon right now. You go to that wonderful tunnel with these fish mosaics. Right out to this. All right. Do you want to eat here? Have a drink here? I think so. It's a winner. Check out these mosaics again once more. So you remember the Miramar where El Chapo was arrested, right? Well, right around there in the tunnel are a clutch of about a dozen beachfront palapa seafood restaurants. Each place offers roughly the same food at the same prices. Simply pick a place that grabs your fancy. These places offer a true Mexican seafood restaurant experience, and that makes it one of our favorite things on the Mazatlan Malecon. Next up, the very iconic Fisherman's Monument. Alright, we call this Fisherman's Beach. This is the place you literally go to buy fresh fish right off the boat. Vendors clean and scale their catch and feed the waiting birds. Fish here is about 30 pesos or more less per kilo than at the markets. We bought from here on many occasions. We used to live just 2 blocks away.
We are on Playa Los Pinitos. This little tiny stretch of beach is known for a couple of things. Mostly oysters, but it's also really well known for its Coco Locos. Coco Locos are coconut shells with just the coconut water in there, or they remove the coconut water and they add seafood.
What this beach is really known for is its fresh oysters served here all throughout the day. For a dozen, they're 90 pesos I think we paid. That's just a little under $5. Shucked right here on site, put into a cup and served with all sorts of hot sauce. From oysters at Fisherman's Beach to a fountain/monument dedicated to the continuity of life. Sadly, this monument isn't too lively these days. It's just a big, bone-dry mess of forlorn PVC piping. Just down from the Fountain of Life is a large plaza where, most noteworthy, clavadistas or cliff divers perform. Watch in awe as they, hopefully, time their dives right, and make sure to tip them for their effort. After that, say hello to a one-armed mermaid, This plaza really comes to life each evening as mobile food vendors move in to sell all sorts of tasty grub to hungry folks. You'll occasionally see even more cliff diving performances here in the evening too. Alright, so we promised you several underground attractions. This is number 2, the aptly named Cueva del Diablo. Now, I understand they used to store ice in here for the fishermen, and locals jokingly say that during Carnival, police use this to lock up drunk people, but let's go have a peek inside. Oh yeah, it's just full of litter. Cueva del Diablo. Yay, another monument. This time to the Mujer Mazatleca, or the Woman of Mazatlan. And right in front of her are 3 musicians, each pioneers in some genres we know nothing about. Right next to the musicians is Carpa Olivera, or Mazatlan's oceanfront infinity pool. This is free, always open, naturally fed by the ocean, and is most dramatic at high tide.
Across from Carpa Olivera is the iconic deer statue, marking the unofficial start of Playa Los Altos, the site of our next attractions.
This seemingly unassuming hotel holds our final infamous attraction.
The Hotel Belmar is the grand dame of Mazatlan's Malecon. She was built between 1922 and 1924, and she holds the distinction of being Mazatlan's very first beachfront hotel, and she's still operating as a hotel to this very day. This is the former ballroom of the Hotel Belmar, and in 1944, on the Sunday of Carnival, the governor of Sinaloa was assassinated here in the ballroom. Obviously it's no longer a ballroom, it's now a car park, and it's lost a lot of the opulence and grandeur of its former days, but in notoriety it still remains as the site of the assassination of the governor of Sinaloa in 1944.
Our final notorious spot along the Malecon in Mazatlan.
And one other note, Hotel Belmar was a favourite location for John Wayne to stay back in the 1950s when he used to come to Durango to shoot Western films. This was where he used to stay.
And apparently some guy from Boise, Idaho is now in the John Wayne suite, and he takes up residency there. And from what I understand, the room is turned somewhat into a shrine to John Wayne. We're finally approaching the end, and luckily for you, this is nowhere near 21 kilometers or 13 miles. Just a few more sites to get through, including the long-awaited end of the Mazatlan Malecon.
So here in the middle of a small roundabout, you'll find a mosaic that depicts the escudo, or official coat of arms, of Sinaloa, and on the other side is the shield of Mazatlan.
Across the street is a piano man named Fernando Valadez Laharza. This is Pedro Infante, who had a very prolific music and acting career, sort of like Elvis in a way. This monument commemorates a scene from his film Full Speed Ahead. As a matter of fact, Pedro was born right down the street from this spot. Sadly, like Elvis, Pedro died young at the age of 40. He was co-piloting a plane that crashed in Yucatan State in 1957. That almost wraps it up. The very last attraction on the Mazatlan Malecon is the Pedro Infante Monument, but your last stop should be right here, having a beer, watching the sunset. Cheers.
Cheers.